Good morning, Mesa Gang. Thanks for joining me with a little golf this morning. Honestly, I can't hit a ball to save my life right now. I haven't been golfing very much. So I had a couple of free moments quick this morning and I was like, you know what? I should really go to the range and hit some balls because I don't want to be the worst forever. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any tips for golf. I just am no expert and I think I need to start looking into actual strategies to hit at a driving range so I'm not just shooting like random shots out at some random field. So I'm gonna look into that, and whatever I learn I'll share with you. Anywho, I actually got to run to the pharmacy and grab some drugs, and I actually have a story to tell you when I'm there. So I said I was going to tell you a story, and the reason I was going to tell you a story is because I'm doing something today that I do every 90 days. I'm stopping at Walgreens. And the reason that's important that I'm stopping at Walgreens is because I need a refill of my drugs that I will take for the rest of my life because I have a brain bleed. I mean, honestly, it sounds a little more dramatic than it actually is. These drugs, though, they keep me from stroking out, seizing out. Essentially what these do. Okay, let me back up. I can give you the actual story because we have a moment because we don't really have a whole lot going on today. When I was in high school, I actually started to get really sick. So when I was a sophomore in high school, I started throwing up like once a day. And then a few weeks later, I started throwing up a couple times a day. And then a month after that, I started throwing up like 10 times a day. And then by, let's see, probably like mid-junior year, I was throwing up so much that I couldn't go to school anymore. They didn't know what was wrong with me. I was throwing up every single day. I had high fevers every single day. I was blacking out. I was pretty much just a lot of good stuff. So when I started to go through this, the first test I had was a brain scan. And my brain scan came back with a little splotch right here on the right hemisphere of my brain, if that's right. I'm not really a doctor. And they just thought, you know, sometimes scans show this stuff and it's not a big deal. So we ignored it. And over the next year, I ended up getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I didn't go to school my senior year. I spent my entire senior year going through different procedures. I spent weeks at the Mayo Clinic at a time. I pretty much spent that whole year either in bed, sick, or at the Mayo Clinic down in Rochester hanging out at a hospital. And that was really tough because I had a lot going on. I had some cancers pop up. I had some diseases pop up. I had, I don't know, still a lot of unknowns though. There was a lot going on that they couldn't explain. I had gastric paresis, which means the nerves in my stomach flipped. I had skin cancer, which means, well, it was skin cancer, right? I don't know if you guys have ever noticed a scar. Wait, is it on this side? Wait, I gotta look in the mirror. Oh, it's on this side. Yeah, right in there. So I had surgery there. And essentially the belief was that my immune system shut down. So all of a sudden I was susceptible to every little thing there was. Cancers, viruses, diseases, all of it. So it sucked. And I mean, for a while there, when I was really sick, I would legitimately just be sitting here like this and then wake up with my head up against the steering wheel. Or I would be walking down some stairs and suddenly I would wake up at the bottom of those stairs. So I was blacking out a lot, and that was not good for the old head. Good thing I got a huge head, so the noggin kept me safe. And at the same time, I also would lose my hearing. That was pretty messed up. So I would go like a couple weeks without being able to hear, and then I go on high dose steroids to get my hearing back. And nobody knew why that was happening. And so as I started to get better, and I did start to get better, I started to push through, my body started to react properly to certain drugs, my immune system started to come back. So then I started to go to college. And you know, I mentioned that in a couple of vlogs. I showed you guys the University of St. Thomas. And when I was there, I would just deal with headaches that were just super obnoxious. Like, yeah, we've all dealt with migraines. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But migraines suck. And when I'd have headaches, I couldn't really see that well out of my right eye. And my hearing would kind of become whack. And I honestly would get nauseous. And I would throw up. And I was like, maybe it's just a migraine. And I was like, you can push through a migraine. You've pushed through everything else. So I pushed through it for like a year and a half. And then finally, roughly, I don't know, probably 2 years ago. Actually, no, it's been longer than that now. 3.5 years ago, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I cannot focus on my work. And at that point, we were just starting and launching another tech company. And I was like, I can't do my job because it hurts so bad to look at a computer screen that I can't function properly. So then I decided it's finally time to go into the doctor again and say, I need another brain scan and I need us to really look into whatever that spot is. And when I went in, got the brain scan again, they found that that spot was a little bigger. And when they really looked at it, they realized I had a bit of a brain bleed right in there. So essentially, we had two options. We could clip the brain bleed, which essentially means you open the skull, I believe, and you go in there and you clip the blood vessel so it no longer bleeds. Or the other option was to try this. This is actually a container of 90 days worth of pills. Now these pills, what they do is they slow down my heart rate. And they slow down my heart rate to a point where it only beats at about 110 beats per minute. So that seems high if you're resting. But if you're working out or you're climbing a mountain and your heart's capped at 110, it's really exhausting. So like some of you guys, if you work out, your heart rate probably gets up to like 140, 150, 160 even. So like your heart rate pumps really fast to get you more and more oxygen just pumping through your body. But when your heart rate is capped and your body needs more oxygen, it just becomes a, I need oxygen. So that's essentially what those drugs do. Because when my heart rate slows down and it doesn't pump all that blood to my brain, it doesn't overwhelm that blood vessel in my head, which means it doesn't get to a full-on brain bleed that turns into some type of hemorrhage that kills me. Yes, I know that sounds dramatic and whatever. It's not really that big of a deal, but that's just the realistic scenario. So yeah, I mean, like, we're going out of town here in a week, which I'm super excited about. And we're going to the mountains. And the first time I went to the mountains 3 years ago, I legitimately like couldn't function because, you know, as you get higher and higher in the mountains, it gets harder and harder to breathe. And with my heart rate capped, I was struggling every day to get air. And so it's taken me a while to get used to these drugs, but these drugs are legitimately a lifesaver. So if you potentially have a small brain bleed, if you have any of those symptoms, like, reach out to me and I will happily connect you with a neurologist. I'll happily give you some feedback and some advice on how to handle things. But like, without those drugs and without me coming here once every 90 days to pick these up, I would not be able to function. And they legitimately have given me new life, which is so freaking crazy that I'm dependent on that little container to live normally. I'm dependent on that little container to do everything I do. And I don't know, I just wanted to share that with you guys because it just blows my mind after 3.5 years that I can live. Yeah, I have my setbacks. Like, I have days where I'm throwing up. I have days that my head's exploding with pain, but it's fine. I'm functional. I'm not in a hospital, and that's like a blessing. It's so cool. It's so awesome that modern medicine can help you that much. So I just want to share that with you. I hope I didn't bore you with that story, but I just wanted to give you some background on my past. And I'm sure I'll bring it up again because that was a huge part of what made me into who I am today. Like, I could not be who I am today without those experiences. She's a roller coaster. I'm so So as I said, that brain bleed, not that big of a deal. Can still do a lot of stuff / everything. I just am a little more out of breath than I might be without the drugs, but I can still function fine. With all this COVID thing going on and my grandma being 90, my parents aren't super old, but they're in their 60s. Don't want them to get sick. Definitely been taking advantage of the at-home gym a whole lot more. We actually, Ashley and I haven't gotten to Lifetime since February, since this whole thing actually started. So, I don't know, just something about going into a gym and sharing the space with like a whole lot of people. It seems just wrong for some reason. I don't know why it seems wrong, but I'm going to get back to this workout and then I'll see you in a couple moments in Excelsior. I know I said I was going to meet you in Excelsior, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want to bring all the cameras out there today because the boat's really wet and I'm heading out on the lake for the night. So thank you so much for watching today's episode. I know this episode is pretty much just me talking about past life experiences, and I appreciate you joining me. So like always, thanks again for all your support. I love you, and I'll see you next time.